Fake HOA cops broke 20 bones in my son. Now they're looking at life in prison. Welcome to Dabsy Stories. Drop a like on the video and subscribe so we can continue making videos like this one. The sun had just dipped behind the rooftops when I heard my son's screams echo down the cul-de-sac. I dropped my grocery bags and sprinted toward the iron gate where two men in black jackets and caps, HOA security officers, forced my 12-year-old Jacob to the ground. His backpack lay discarded, one strap torn. "Stop resisting," one barked, twisting Jacob's arm behind his back. His partner yanked Jacob's legs apart. I arrived at the gate's latch as Jacob writhed, sobbing. His knee popped. He cried out, "It hurts! Please, let me go!" I shouted, "What are you doing? Those men aren't police!" The first man turned, eyes cold. "Mind your own business, ma'am. We're enforcing community safety." He slammed Jacob's face into the concrete. Spine raked against the gate's pointy finials. Jacob's cry was a broken sound. I flung myself at them, pulling on the man's sleeve. He threw me off like a rag doll. My groceries scattered. Tomatoes rolled in the dust. I saw Jacob's leg at a grotesque angle. His arm sagged limp. I screamed and scrambled forward. The second man raised a collapsible baton. He struck Jacob's ribs hard. 5 more pops. Jacob wailed, blood at his mouth's corner. I dove onto him, shielding his body with my own. The men pried me off. One kicked me in the side. I tasted blood. Then the HOA truck's headlights cut across the street. The driver's window slid down. I recognized Mr. Castillo, our board president. He stepped out, horrified. "What the hell is going on?" he demanded. The officers straightened, faces blank as masks. "This child was violating private property rules," the first said. "He was skateboarding on community grounds without permission." Castillo's face went gray. "Permission? You broke his bones for that?" He glared at the men, who lowered their batons. I cradled Jacob's head as he vomited. His breath rasped, pain everywhere. Castillo knelt beside us, dialing 911. The men backed away into their truck and sped off down the street, tires squealing on pavement. Within minutes, sirens wailed. Paramedics pried us from the gate. I watched them load Jacob onto a stretcher. His leg was pinned, his ribs wrapped in makeshift splints. He looked at me, tears in his eyes, and whispered, "Mom, I can't feel my arm." I climbed into the ambulance beside him, pressing my hand to his fractured shoulder. "We're getting you help," I said, voice cracking. He squeezed my fingers once. At the hospital, x-rays revealed 20 broken bones, arm, ribs, collarbone. Surgeons worked through the night. I paced the empty waiting room, replaying every moment. The gate, the baton, Jacob's screams. I thought of those fake officers, cowards hiding behind HOA badges. When he was stable, Detectives Ramirez and Lee arrived. They handed me Jacob's torn shirt and a statement form. "We've traced their license plates," Ramirez said. "They'll face assault and attempted murder charges. We'll also investigate impersonating law enforcement." Lee added, "If convicted on aggravated assault and impersonation, they could get life." I nodded, relief and rage mixing. Jacob's life hung in the balance tonight. For now, I sat by his bedside and held his hand until he fell into fevered sleep. Outside, the storm rumbled. Inside, I whispered, "You're safe, baby. We're going to bring them to justice." The next morning, my kitchen smelled of burnt coffee as I sat with dark circles under my eyes. Jacob lay in the pediatric ward, his leg in a full cast up to his hip, ribs braced, and arm in a sling. He stared at the ceiling's pale tiles, tracing cracks with his fingers. Detective Ramirez arrived first. He handed me a USB drive. "Body cam footage from the HOA truck," he said. My breath caught. The men hadn't thought to turn their cameras off. I clicked play on my laptop. The video showed Jacob skateboarding down the pathway, no faster than a slow roll, when the truck screeched to a halt. 2 men, dressed in black jackets with HOA security patches, jumped out. They tackled him to the ground, twisting limbs viciously. The first man raised a baton. The second caught Jacob's backpack strap and yanked. I watched Jacob's screams echo, my jaw clenched so tight it hurt. Then the plot twist. Just before the attack, Jacob's best friend, Mateo, slipped a piece of paper into the man's pocket. I rewound and saw the moment clearly. The officer paused, glanced at the note, then nodded to his partner. "Pause it," I said, voice shaking. Ramirez froze the frame and zoomed in. The paper read, "Meet me at 6. Bottom of the hill. Handwriting, Mateo's." Ramirez looked at me. "Your son's friend? He set him up." I blinked back tears. "Mateo? But he's sweet. I took him in after his dad died. The detective frowned. We'll bring him in for questioning. Could be he was coerced or paid. While Ramirez left to track Mateo, Nurse Lee came in and adjusted Jacob's medication. She offered a gentle smile. He's stable, but the pain is tough. You should rest. I nodded, but I couldn't sit still. I had to know why. A few hours later, Mateo's trembling form appeared with uniformed officers. His eyes were red. He confessed between sobs. The officers had blackmailed him over an old prank, a stolen bike. They threatened to arrest him if he didn't help. He handed over emails showing he'd been coerced and a bank slip proving he'd delivered $1,000 to a burner account. Back at the hospital, Ramirez confronted the pair of fake cops. They had records under fake names. One was a small-time ex-con, the other a local HOA board member's nephew. They admitted they'd wanted to scare Jacob off dangerous skateboarding and teach the kid a lesson. They never expected to break so many bones. Detective Lee filed assault with a deadly weapon and extortion charges. The HOA board quietly removed the patches from their uniforms and denied all knowledge, but now they couldn't hide. I sat by Jacob's bedside as he drifted in and out of sleep. "Mom?" he whispered. I took his hand. "I know, honey." He squeezed back. That night, I drafted an email to the community portal. I attached the body cam stills, the ransom note, Mateo's bank slip, and the HOA board's apology letter. I demanded real security, real accountability, and true safety for all kids. Neighbors flooded the thread with outrage. How dare they? My kids play there. We want them gone. As I hit send, I felt a flicker of hope. The truth was out. No more fake badges, no more terror at the gate. By the third morning, the story had ignited the neighborhood. Flyers with Jacob's bruised face and "Justice for Jacob" circulated on front doors. A small vigil gathered outside the hospital, parents holding candles while their children skated slowly, wearing "I Stand with Jacob" t-shirts. Inside, Jacob slept. I studied the evidence folder, body cam footage, Mateo's coerced note, bank transfers, the HOA board's muted apology, and the suspect's mugshots. Detective Lee called. "We have enough for aggravated assault, extortion, and impersonating law enforcement. They're looking at decades, not just life. We'll arrest them today." Relief washed over me, but a deeper wound throbbed. Who stood behind them? The HOA president had distanced herself. The board claimed ignorance. Yet someone high up must have greenlit those security officers. I couldn't let the real mastermind escape. I met Detective Ramirez outside the precinct. He showed me HOA financials, payments for security services to a shell company linked to board treasurer Mr. Larkin. "He fronted for those guys," Ramirez said. "Follow the money." My stomach churned. Larkin was once a friend. He chaired the annual block party. Within hours, officers raided Larkin's home. Raid footage showed them hauling binders labeled "Project Clean Streets." Investigators found emails. Larkin instructed his nephew and the ex-con to teach the kid a lesson and keep the riffraff away. A clear pattern of hate and classism. Larkin was arrested on charges of conspiracy, extortion, and child endangerment. The HOA board dissolved the fake security program and revoked Larkin's board seat. Neighbors cheered when news crews broadcast the arrests live. That evening, Jacob woke and saw the headlines on my phone. HOA treasurer, fake cops arrested in violent extortion ring. He mustered a weak grin. "We did it," he said. His ventilator hissed steady support. I squeezed his hand. "Yes, buddy. We unearthed the whole rotten root." Outside, snow still drifted, silent watchers of justice served. Neighbors waved from windows, offering hot chocolate and cookies. The vigil became a celebration of community unity against corruption. As I tucked Jacob back under his blankets, he whispered, "Will they go to jail?" I nodded. "Yes, they'll pay for what they did." His eyes closed in sleep, trust and safety restored. Tomorrow, the final hearing would seal their fate. For now, I sat beside him, grateful that truth and solidarity had broken the chain of cruelty. The morning of the final hearing arrived under gray skies. Jacob sat beside me in his wheelchair, arm in sling and leg brace fresh from surgery. His ribs had mended enough to let him laugh without agony. Today, we would see justice. Courtroom 5 was packed. Neighbors in scarves huddled together, reporters adjusting cameras, and Jacob's best friend Mateo in the back row, eyes fixed on the defendants. First came the two fake officers, faces pinched with fear as the judge read charges of aggravated assault, extortion, impersonation of law enforcement, and conspiracy. Each count carried decades in prison. Next, They called Mr. Larkin, the HOA treasurer. He slumped at the defense table, suit rumpled, guilt etched across his brow. The prosecutor outlined how Larkin had hired his nephew and the ex-con to terrorize undesirable kids in the neighborhood, funneling payments through a shell company. The judge paused on the photos. Jacob's shattered bones, the torn shirt, the blood on concrete, a child's suffering laid bare. Then came the victim's statements. I rose and spoke, voice steady. My son trusted his community. Instead, he was betrayed by those we hired to protect us. They broke his bones, fractured his spirit, and stained our neighborhood. I pointed to Jacob. He gave a small nod. He nearly lost his life for skateboarding on a sidewalk. No rule justifies cruelty. Mateo stepped forward next. His voice shook but grew firmer. I'm sorry, he said, addressing the defendants. They scared me into betrayal. I never wanted this. He wiped tears, then pointed at Larkin. He used me like a pawn. The judge listened quietly, then began sentencing. The two fake officers, nephew and ex-con, received 25 years each, maximum for child endangerment and impersonation. Larkin, as mastermind, drew 30 years for conspiracy and abuse of authority. The courtroom exhaled at the severity. Karen Peterson's name echoed through my mind. Though she'd resigned from the board earlier, her sanctioning of unofficial security patrols had enabled this violence. The judge paused, then added, any HOA official found complicit will face the full extent of the law. Though Karen was not present, her name was now in the court record as a co-conspirator under investigation. When the gavel fell, a silence held the room. Then neighbors clapped softly, tears and relief mingling. Jacob's shoulders relaxed. A genuine smile curved his lips. I leaned over and hugged him as cameras flashed. Outside, snow began to fall again. Gentle flakes this time, blanketing the street with quiet peace. Neighbors offered hugs and handshakes. Mateo slipped me a folded note. Thank you for believing in me. I squeezed his hand. Later that day at home, I posted a summary to the community portal. Justice served, fake officers sentenced, HOA treasurer convicted, no more secret patrols. Comments flooded in. Never again, protect our kids, community strong. As dusk settled, I wheeled Jacob to the front porch. He wore his Justice for Jacob bad t-shirt beneath his jacket. Stars blinked overhead. He looked up. Mom? I smiled. Yes, buddy? Do you think other kids will be safe now? I hugged him. Yes, we made sure of it. That night, I tucked Jacob into bed. His breathing was calm, his heart lighter. Outside, the wind had stilled. The broken bones had healed, but the scar of betrayal stayed to remind us why vigilance matters. And Karen? She would face investigations, possible charges, and a community that would never forget. Those who harmed children must answer for their crimes. The end.